Hey there, educators. Big changes are happening, and they could reshape everything from your paycheck to your retirement. That one big, beautiful Bill Act was just signed into law on July 4th, and it is packed with new rules around student loans and taxes and savings accounts and more. So today we're going to break it down so you can confidently navigate what's ahead. Teachers, you give so much every day. You're shaping lives and you're inspiring the future. But when it comes to your retirement, the path forward can feel uncertain. If you're an educator juggling demands of busy schedules and financial stress, you are not alone. Many teachers worry about outliving their savings, or managing their pension, or ensuring long-term care without burdening their family. With pensions often alone falling short, many educators struggle to bridge the gap between what they need and what they have for a secure retirement. That's where Educator's Financial Foresight Weekly comes in. Each week, I'll guide you through clear, actionable steps to understand your pension and spot hidden gaps, build retirement income strategy tailored to your needs, protect your savings from inflation and unexpected costs, and plan for long-term care and estate needs without burdening your loved ones. Your career has been about making a difference. Tune in every Thursday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern on YouTube and LinkedIn. Let's build a retirement as rewarding as your career. Well, welcome to this week's edition of Educator's Financial Foresight Weekly, your step-by-step guide to financial peace of mind. Trying a little something different today. It was so beautiful outside. I thought, why am I sitting here trying to make up a studio? Let's go outside. I'll warn you, there may be noises that get in between my microphone and me because I am outside in my behind my house, and we have landscapers and things in suburban Ohio. And also my glasses may get down to where you can't see my eyes anymore, and they may lighten up depending on what happens with the sun. So just we'll see what happens. But thought it'd be a nice little change. Anyway, I'm Debbie Major, former educator turned financial planner, and I am here to help turn confusion into clarity. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day to tune in. We are streaming live on LinkedIn and YouTube, so please hit like, share with a fellow educator, and let's dive in. So, what just happened, right? On July 4th, 2025, President Trump signed the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, which is a sweeping piece of legislation. It will impact educator savings and benefits, school funding, student loans, retirement tax planning, senior benefits, and Medicare. My focus is on how will it affect the people that I work with the most, and that's what I try and distill out of all of these big pieces of legislation when they come up, so that you can have the pieces of information that would be most helpful to you as an educator. So here is how it could change your financial roadmap, whether you're in the classroom or you're planning for life beyond it. All right, let's start with the wins, because there are some smart new tools and opportunities. And I'm going to be like a news person today, and I have my printout so I don't miss anything for you. So first, you've got your 529 plan flexibility. So now for 529s, you can cover up to $20,000 a year for K-12, for homeschool, for tutoring, and for professional development. So it'd be good for educators that are renewing credentials or funding your child's schooling. Second thing is, this is brand new. It's called Trump accounts. These are new savings for kids. So it's a $1,000 government-funded account for kids born between 2025 and 2028. So it's actually retroactive. Parents can contribute up to $5,000 a year, tax deferred. They're starting it with $1,000. What's also nice is there is a way that employers in the future can add to this account also. So as a way for it to grow, for it to start, for it to grow. There's rules that are, of course, around it, because it's that when you can take it out and if there's any penalties and all of those kinds of things. But it's nice to know, then that is a plus, that a baby born in the next few years will start off with $1,000 to their name in a bank account for them that heads toward their retirement. And so that's a good way to do it. As time goes on, if we see that whether it's good for you to also increase and put money in, we'll let you know. Right now, everything I'm reading gives me both sides that it might be good and it might not be so good for parents to be adding to the funds, but there are some other provisions of it. So keep that in mind if you've got a child. The third thing is we've got higher pre-tax child care benefits. The actual dependent care FSA limit was raised to $7,500 a year. So it's helpful for daycare or after school camps or summer camps. The fourth thing is employer student loan repayment. So I know you've probably heard that student loans now have a whole different repayment schedule. And I think I covered that in the next section, if I remember from all my notes. So now, though, there are some on the upside for this also, for the student loan repayments. Employers can now contribute up to $5,250 a year toward your student loans. So you can ask your school or your district about this during open enrollment. If that's something when you're looking for new benefits or you're doing your negotiation with your union, this is something maybe that could come up to at the table, something to look at. So if you leave education and go work for someone else, this may come to the table. So it is something that is a benefit that you might want to look into. All right, the fifth thing that could be good, overtime and car loan deductions. All right, you can deduct up to $12,500 in overtime income, and that's up to $25,000 if you file jointly. You can also deduct up to $10,000 of car loan interest if the car was a U.S. assembled vehicle. So there's a trick there, but we've never been able to deduct car loan interest before. They're also going to simplify charitable giving. So now way back when you could just put it on any of the forms. Then, in their wisdom, Congress moved it so that it went from any form to being if you itemized your deductions. Well, now that they've made our deductions so much bigger, most of us are not itemizing anymore. So we haven't been able to take advantage of the charitable deduction. Now we actually can. We can deduct, if you're a non-itemizer, you can deduct $1,000 to $2,000 starting in 2026. And now itemizers are going to see new thresholds and phase outs. You're going to have to review your gifting strategy. So you want to make sure you take a look at that. If you use a lot of charitable deductions or they show up a lot, keep track of them if you have not been itemizing and you have not been counting them so that you can deduct them this time. If you are one of those non-itemizers, if you're an itemizer, make sure you find out how much is going to be able to be deducted on your income tax. All right. So here's some bonus wins for educators that are retired and seniors, because that was also a big part of the bill. First, there's a new $6,000 senior deduction. Because of the way our laws are written, that no tax on Social Security is impossible to be able to put into a budget reconciliation. So this was the trade-off to give seniors a new $6,000 deduction. It does have a phase out for seniors who have over $75,000 single or $150,000 of joint income, but it can help significantly reduce your tax liability, especially those in the middle ranges, middle incomes, for those drawing pensions and Social Security. So it will, up before this, or actually even still, up to 85% of your Social Security can be taxed. So being able to have less of that above the line total income, the better it may be for you, and less of your Social Security that may be taxed. Secondly, the Roth conversion window has been extended. I mean, really the biggest thing that this tax bill did is it made into law the tax rates that were put into effect in 2019, so that we don't have them expiring, which is what was supposed to happen next year, and everyone would have seen a huge tax increase on their bill. So what this has done is it's extended permanently the tax rate decrease, which means that Roth conversions can go on longer. We're not worrying about quickly, let's get them all done before 2026.
I'm sorry, it was a 2017 tax children condos. I've been going back and forth on all these things that the year that was passed, somehow I said that wrong. So that's why I have my notes today. But it is a perfect time for Roth conversions. I know the mantra's been since 2017, the taxes are on sale. Well, you know what? They're on sale now for a long time. So take advantage of it. We do know that there are stressors that will probably have to push those tax rates up in the future at some point. So let's take advantage of the fact that they are lower now. All right. 3, there is some estate tax relief. Also, the exemption is now $15 million a person or $30 million for a married couple permanently. So that's gone way up for the estate tax exemption. It's going to protect, the land-rich, cash-poor educators with family farms, things like that may be happening that you had not counted on before. All right, so those are some of the positive things that could positively impact you from this act. Now let's look at some of the potential challenges and things that may be harder for you and hit you more in the pocketbook. So let's talk about some potential challenges. Okay, because every opportunity has trade-offs. So here are some of the things to watch. I already mentioned that student loans, right? There's some student loan shakeups. One of the repayment ways has been eliminated. So you want to make sure that if you are still repaying your student loans, that you've got the repayment schedule that fits you. That's on the list. Also, any subsidized undergraduate and Grad Plus loans have been eliminated. So those Grad Plus loans have been eliminated. There's also annual loan caps if you going back to school of $20,500, and there's fewer deferment options. That was probably the biggest thing. If you take off time because you're pregnant, you take off and having a baby, you have to take off a hardship because of loss of work. There are no deferments anymore. So you will still have to make a payment toward your loan balance during that time. And the 2 repayment plans that they've got are fixed or an income-based repayment plan, which could be anywhere from 1 to 10% of your income. So those are the 2 that are okay now for you to be able to repay the student loans. Second thing, public school funding. They did put into the law 100% tax credits for private school donations, which could mean less money for public classrooms. This is speculating, but it could lead to tighter budgets, fewer programs, maybe larger class sizes, especially in the undeserved areas. It's all going to see how things shake out with the private schools and how much the vouchers are used and however it's all utilized. But things, of course, there's always challenges. That might be a challenge that's going to come our way. There are Medicare and Medicaid cuts. Now, this has probably gotten the most press out there, it probably doesn't affect most anyone here, as if you're educators and you're working, you're not going to be using Medicaid, so the cuts there aren't going to make any difference. The Medicare cuts start to come in 2026. Could mean higher out of pocket, could mean fewer services, could mean the Medicaid cuts where they may be felt by you would be in the nursing home realm or rural providers. A lot of us still have parents that are heading into nursing homes. Medicaid has always been kind of the backup plan for nursing home stays. The cuts can always affect how that happens or what could happen there. Again, the cuts, we'll see how they all shake out. They are going back to they're not cuts that have even gone back to before COVID. So my hope is that people can make adjustments, and it's from things that they've just added in recent years because they've had all this extra money. Who knows? That's my opinion and my hope. All right. So let's go on to what educators can do, because I don't want to leave with concern. We'd like to lead to strategy, right? So for working educators, right? We mentioned the 529s. If you've got kids, college education, you can max them out. The Trump accounts, look into if they're available for your child and what the rules are around them, and if you want to look into them. Use, if you've got kids, you've got Childcare, you've got overtime deductions to lower your tax bill, right? Ask HR about any student loan repayment programs, see if they can help you. They should be up on these kinds of things, but I know they're overwhelmed just like everybody else is overwhelmed. Advocate for local funding. Go to your board meetings, speak up, speak about the reality about what's going on in your classroom, speak about the reality of what you need. Let parents know also reality. I know that they get lots of mixed messages about what's going on in both public school and private school, and especially with these vouchers, they get a lot of information just thrown at them. Make sure they know your perspective and where you're coming from and what you're doing in your classroom so that they know. And they can, advocate for you wherever that may be. I know I work with both public and private school teachers, and your needs are going to be a little bit different in this. But either way, your parents should know what you're doing, and your parents should be able to advocate for you. And they should realize the benefit of both. Public school is really important. Having an option is probably really important too for some parents. So, they want to advocate no matter what. All right. How about for retired educators? Okay, you do want to reassess your income plan using that new $6,000 deduction. If you're saving for retirement, this is, I always say, everything is an opportunity to realize that you hold more power in your hands than you think, because you need to take responsibility for your retirement and for your future. And don't count on anybody coming to your aid. You got your state retirement system, and we could talk about the state of those at some point. But you've got that. You've got some Social Security. Our government programs are having issues and big shortfalls, and no one really is addressing that. Medicare and Social Security are running out of money. We're not talking about it. This doesn't even scratch the surface of fixing any of those problems. So you do need to advocate for yourself, and you need to make sure you are doing the best for yourself and for your future self to make sure that you're taking advantage of everything you can. All right? Think about Roth conversions. A Roth, remember, you pay taxes now. So you take money that's already in a traditional IRA and you pay taxes now. It's qualified money, and the taxes are lower, and then everything you take out later on is going to be tax-free. So that's important. Revisit your estate plan, especially if you own land or property, rental properties, anything like that, or you have inherited accounts. See how that, if anything would happen. It's always a good idea to always update your beneficiaries and your estate plan all the time, so that makes anytime anything changes. All right. Also think about these dates that will come into play. So 25 to 28 are the temporary reductions. Are the temporary deductions. The reduction in the taxes is not temporary. In 2026 is when the Medicare cuts may trigger. So that's where that will happen if you're getting close to retirement or signing up for Medicare. In 2030 is when the SALT deduction cap returns. So if you're in one of the states that gets to take great advantage of those SALT deductions, know that in 2030 that's when the cap is going to return. All right, since we're taping outside, and it's time for Rookie's Quote of the Week. Let's get inspired. I was going to say, I called him up to sit on my lap and to say hello in person. All right, well, his Rookie's quote, which we hope is inspirational for you this week, is from Abraham Lincoln, a great man of wisdom. And he said, the best way to predict the future is to plan for it. So let's take these changes and turn them into choices that empower us, right? Not panic, but be realistic and find a way to be empowered by the choices that we can make because over what we control of our own life. All right. So to summarize, I know I've talked really fast and I've said a lot of things. And so I did make for you a checklist that is free and printable, and I will send it right off to you. All you need to do is DM me on LinkedIn or put a comment on YouTube, and I will be able to send it out to you. I'm happy to do that because the bill is big and it's bold, But it does have good parts and bad parts. So you want to understand it. That's always the first step for these things, is to understand them. So like I said, feel free to DM me on LinkedIn. I'll send you that printable checklist that goes over everything I talked about today. You can also schedule a call with me if you want to revisit some things or look at some things that you have going on in your life. www.meetwithdebbie.com. Until then, and until next week, keep educating, keep planning, and keep believing in your future. Have a great week.